I saw people say, "Thank God they lost Luna. Now we got 3 more years of JK
I know.
News."
They did say that, and that's fucking really fun.
It's so
dope. That's dope.
That's cool.
They're the best, honestly. Okay, here we go. Welcome back to Careful Boys, where we are indeed very careful, boys.
Super careful.
So today we wanted to talk about, I mean, dude, you know, there's been a humbling moment that has happened lately for a lot of us.
Don't remind me, no.
Oh no. But you were planning on pivoting like out of dance, like, or at least you were talking about that with us, and like you were like moving like in that direction. Now you're going back into dance. Would you say that like, or like, how has that transition been for you, and what's weird about it for you, and how do you process like everything that's going on?
Wow, that's a loaded question. Let's maybe give some context on why I even thought about like kind of like
Take well, I'm a little too aware because I was
because we were like talking like
Well, what's the boiled down question?
Well, I think one of the things was Anthony's like, I'm like 39. Every time I dance, my bone's cracking and shit.
36.
You got like
2 more years.
these young cats like doing the moves that only he dreams he could do. Yeah. So he's like, well, shit.
Vigorous TikTokers.
He can't save the rec center with his body anymore.
Okay, so unlike
I'll tell the story.
okay, so unlike Silent Mike's point of view, so dance is like also a sport, right?
Yeah.
Which means that, you know,
fuck you, Silent Mike.
we are also like in essence like athletes, but I think that there's a downside to that, right? It's just like watching, you can see just like in the NBA, right? Once the older players they might have like
LeBron.
experience, but they might not necessarily have the same physicality or the ability or even just that youth to be able to continue at the same pace,
like
right,
Steph.
that they've been doing, right? Exactly. Like even like the older you get, the more you have to warm up, or the more you have to cool down and stretch, or like the more you're sore the next day, right? And
Both in body and spirit too.
totally.
Because a young basketball player, like the will of wanting to win a championship is also there.
Yeah.
Steph still has that.
Yeah. Versus if you have like, I don't know, 2 kids that are 13, you might just be like, this is to pay for their college.
Or 7 kids like LeBron, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is a huge thing too, because like if you just got opportunities in your career for like the first couple years, you're really hyped. But if you've been doing similar opportunities for like, let's say like 13 years, you're desensitized to those opportunities. You're not thinking to yourself every day like, oh my God, I'm so grateful I can dance. You're thinking to yourself like, oh snap, like how much time do I have left, you know? So I think with the pandemic, we also went through a lot of like hardships with the business. You guys already know, like we closed the studios, we had to pivot in so many different ways. I stopped almost all my work in China because like country relations and politics kind of in play, and like we can't go there without like fucking formal visas and invitations from the government.
How big of your guys' income would you say was like from overseas? Like, it doesn't have to be dollar amount, but like percentage-wise or something.
Yeah, it's hard to say you guys because I think there's so many elements to answer that question for the individuals and the group. But let's say for myself, I would honestly say like at least 50% minimum.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I think that's reflective. You guys know too. That's reflective of also my time, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Like most of my time, even when I was like I've been doing JK News since you guys started, but I was only here whenever I had a pocket to like.
You weren't really
when I
here
was
very
back.
much.
I was here when you
weren't here
before
at all.
you.
You weren't here.
He was here whenever we couldn't find another guest. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, you were here for.
When we wanted someone to play a gay guy, he was here.
Yeah. You were here for what, 12 hours before me? I was here for like fucking 2,700 hours.
And that's
before
when
you even
shit
showed up.
started going down and everybody started quitting and stuff like that because I think the energy was whack.
Well, 'cause of
the
me.
team
It was 'cause of
members,
me. It was
right?
'cause of me.
And then when I came on, things started picking up and there's like regularity, the vibe's cool.
Yeah,
We
now the
started
views are
talking
lower
about,
than ever. Yeah, it's great.
The dancers brought all the sentiment in, a lot of logic, practicality.
Dancers alienated the audience
You
and
know
made
what I mean?
people like
Otherwise,
hate us.
everybody would have thought this was just a Republican group that supports Trump, and now the dancers here, you know that's not.
Nah, not
I think that's like really cool balance, and I think
Now
that
that-
people are really thankful for why we're here.
Now
you know?
that the dancers are here, the people throwing paint on my car, they're like, why did you leave it to the dancers?
Well, I mean, you know,
It's
you
been
deserve
crazy.
it. You deserve it. You know? You made us all lose on Luna. So.
50% of your income, Gonzo's.
I made you lose on
Yeah, that's a huge thing.
I told you to cash out.
Don't
You
even
fucking
start on
didn't cash
OMG with these guys. You know what I mean? Two fails, right?
Hey,
Let's
hey.
see what the.
I can't believe we're still friends.
OMG was the first
Third
out of the
time's
bull
the
market.
charm.
The first
Am I
out of the
right?
bear market into the bull market. The first one that multiplied, bitch. I couldn't have got to $1 million if not for OMG. Thank fuck for that. But also, fuck OMG. Thank God I dumped that piece of shit.
It's like $1 something now.
Dude, it's like, no, it's like, No, it's like 2, whatever the fuck it is.
It's still more valuable.
It's still more valuable than boba, which is its actual use case.
Boba.
Yeah, boba. Nobody's even heard of it. It's this layer 2 use case. Nobody fucking even knows about that because they diluted the shares for all the people who are holding it. OMG, a complete
lit the spark.
a complete trader token piece of shit is still trading better than boba. Hey, fuck you, boba tards. You guys are honestly the dumbest fucks maybe ever. I can't believe you're still holding that piece of shit. I turned $18,000 into a fucking $1.2 million. You guys were all holding bags of shit during the whole bear market. I still cashed out more than you.
Holding bags of shit.
Holding bags of shit, fucking leaking out of the bottom, breaking with shit falling, and you guys wanted to take the shit home. You stupid fucks.
I want to see a movie that's like Wolf of Wall Street just with Steve.
Crypto style.
And just you're like, I'm not fucking going anywhere.
Bro, I barely put 20 grand into crypto. I've done 735 and I'm 1.2 mil. And dude, I'm sitting here with 6 figgies in the bottom of the bear, bitch. Watch what I do next. You think I want to hit 2? I will. And guess what? I'll ride it to fucking 0. That's what I do, motherfucker.
And I'm following with you.
We're doing it again. And guess what? We're not cashing out again either.
That's the moment. And I'm riding to 0.
So back to Anthony.
So Anthony,
I no longer remember.
Pandemic happened.
50% of your income's gone.
Out the window. You're an aging man. Can't dance like the new
Geriatric human being.
I really like that word.
He said a lot today.
It's very good.
And you know the COVID pandemic just kind of brought on a lot of like business problems, and like that's always been a lot of the trade-off, right? Like to try and be like as the best version of your artist and creative self as possible, you know what I mean? Like literally just choreographing or dancing or whatever, but then still also having to have the right type of mindset or like focus and attention in like the business side and things that we're not doing so well, right? Like handling landlords while closing the spot, you know, working through I don't even want to go into the fucked up details of it, but or on the other side, like trying to build a noodle company and pivot because like dance was cut out, you know what I mean? So many other elements came into play, and I got also really lucky with certain things, right? I got to be able to like anchor myself into like this place, which is like totally like a second home and a family to me as well, you know, and like being able to be present and available for JK all the time, while also starting up things like season 2 of the Kinjaz podcast, where like we're hosting and producing it out of my own home, so I'm putting so much of my like personal self into it. I started having like, and that's crazy to think that I was like a part of and became like one of the co-hosts of like this show plus like the podcast. It's like suddenly I started even seeing opportunities for my own like future that didn't necessarily have to anchor itself in like dance. And I wanted to, one, maybe listen to the universe, right? Like,
Oh, yeah.
the universe is literally being like, stop fucking dancing and do all this other shit and handle all this other shit. But then 2, it was also...
Be a shoemaker. Sell noodles. Be a shoemaker.
Shoemaker.
Come on a talk show where everyone shits on you every day.
I love that.
The shoe is fucking Nike, by the way.
Does a Nike shoe get shit on by Steve?
Look, he's a cobbler at the end of the day.
Cobbler with fucking nails and a hammer.
To boil it all down to being a cobbler.
Ask me a question. Let's talk about the truth. Don't give me this bullshit.
Fucking shining shoes and repairing.
Yeah, I think that plus, and let's be real, like we fucking like got super into like Luna and crypto and all that stuff too.
It was fun.
And we're fucking killing it. We were killing it. It's so
Sick position,
difficult.
Sickest run up ever.
So you
the
know,
worst run down ever.
Dude, I would have cashed out.
Up.
And I was like, are you gonna cash out? Nope. And I'm like, well, I'm not either. Because all of us wanted to go fucking 10x again.
The best part is like we got a 2,000%, right? Like, cause I was buying at 5 or whatever. So we got 2,000%, and I'm like, and my brother's like, hey, are we gonna cash this out? And I was like, we just need another 5x. You got 2,000%, bro. What the fuck is your problem? That's so funny,
dude, that's just, you know what I mean? And so like, you can't, that's the human part about it, right? It's the same thing, even though it's fucking, in hindsight, 2,000% out, why the fuck did we not do X, Y, Z?
Because it's called greed.
There it is. But when you're in it, that also, you know, like
Well, you do fake logic too. It's like, dude,
that's what I'm saying.
in the ratios, we're killing Bitcoin so hard this whole time. When Bitcoin was at 69,000, the all-time high, we were at fucking $40, and then we went to 119. So wait till Bitcoin gets back there in the ratios. We're gonna be blah, 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 blah.
And we were like, alt season hasn't hit maturity yet.
Doesn't matter. Although I have to say, Bitcoin dominance as an indicator was pretty sick. I just should have listened to it. Like 30, going into the 30s, it did, and it skidded into the 30s for 7 months. That's not good enough for you, bro? Come on.
And I was following your
We're
lead.
really just talking to ourselves. Yeah. But that really that like you know that changes a lot of your perception on what life maybe could be. So I think I started getting caught up in allowing kind of, again, like the natural momentum in my head that I maybe constructed, I'm gonna be honest with it, of like that momentum of like, oh, maybe this is kind of your time to not focus so much on dance.
Because we're all millionaires. So what's the fucking point of doing this?
Why do it?
We were millionaires for a very, very short period of time. It was awesome.
So fun.
I am still on paper, by the way. Don't you forget that.
I am too technically because of real estate, but
Videos about me, guys, if we could bring it back.
I would love to not talk about that.
Yeah, you're right.
So that kind of happened, and obviously everybody knows that the Luna crash happened, but more than even just the crash, like I also, you know, still endured and had to like go through even more similar business
Tribulations.
crashes. Yeah, if you will. Man.
Well, you guys cut a lot of corners on the noodles.
No, it has nothing to do with the noodles.
Oh.
It has nothing to do with the noodles are doing good.
Okay, that was a guess.
The noodles are doing well and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But yeah, just other complications, right?
Like life complications.
Yeah, life complications with business and stuff. And the funny thing is when almost, again, even with Luna, when everything is gone and Luna's like no longer, the crypto in general is kind of like, all right, cool, we don't really have that. And then the business stuff, you know what I mean, is going really, really tough too. And like things, like I'm losing a lot in different ways. You suddenly find yourself in this really humble position. And then you think about what you actually have. What the fuck are you laughing at?
Nick is killing me, dude. I fucking hate this guy.
No, no, I just noticed something up there.
Continue. Sorry. Nick is killing me.
Sorry.
So you find yourself in this really humble position where you feel like you kind of don't really have anything else. So you start thinking to yourself, what do I actually have that like no one can take away from me, that I can like use right now, that's guaranteed, that I'm in control of myself? And the irony is that, you know, it just falls right back to dance for myself, you know what I mean? Like, no matter what, no matter where I'm at, and everything that I put into my skill and my networks and my, you know, my relationship building with people or just the industry in general, it's kind of like, I guess I could just pick that back up and go right back into it and like put time and energy into it and really, you know, not, I wouldn't say I was so far out that it's like giving it a second go by any means, but rather just revitalizing the energy and the motivation to do it with
You
a
were
more
still
clear head.
into it, like even during the height of crypto stuff. You were still into
I think
it.
if I were to be honest with it though, I think a lot, you know, when you get into a flow of doing something for so long,
Yeah.
some things become maintenance.
Right.
I feel like a lot of energy felt like maintenance.
Okay.
And I think that's
Towards
also,
dance?
yeah, towards that, and that's probably also why, for at least my like close fans who like really follow me, you'll realize that like I even stopped posting on social media because I just lost that expressive kind of element to like what I wanted to share with my craft and stuff like that, and not lost it like it's all gone and like everything's depressing or anything. It was just one of those moments where I was like, I'm not in this right now, and I need to like listen to kind of that intuition and vibe out. Otherwise, that maintenance kind of thing will hold on to me, and I'm just going through the motions.
You wanted to shed it.
Yeah.
Did you ever dance just for the fun of it anymore? Because you know how when something becomes a profession, you don't even touch it anymore.
You know what's crazy? It was actually 2 days ago on Wednesday that I, for the first time, I had Charlie come over to my spot, and I was like, hey man, I just want to have a creative session, and I want to choreograph to a song that is not work related. It's not for the YouTube channel.
You had him come over for that reason, or he came over and that it's been that idea?
I haven't come over for that reason.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah.
So you're just like, let's have a session.
We used to do it all the time. Literally every day. When we were living in Orange County, we would go to Quest Learning Center, which is in Artesia. Yeah. And like back in the day, we would show up in the morning, be like, hey, what time are you gonna get there? Boom, that's it. Every day we'd show up, smoke a bowl, eat some food, And then we would just go into session. It was always freestyles in the morning, and then we would create. And like that was just the flow. And that was honestly one of my happiest times in my entire dance journey, because it was also, we weren't like hella known or successful by any means. So it was very easy. Oh, actually, Charles had fucking won ABDC, but I wasn't at all in that limelight. I had not gone on a TV show, so it was just really easy for us to just do it for the fun. But this past Wednesday, it was the first time I had choreographed or tried to choreograph for myself, and that's the hardest part, right? You give me an assignment, it's easy. It's like the confines. When's it due? What's the song? How many artists? What's the style? What are you looking for during the hook? Is it a catchy move? Give it this influence. Wear this, blah, blah, blah. Give me the parameters and the assignments. Give me 1,000 details, and it's like an escape room. It's just finding out what makes sense considering all of those things. Give me a blank canvas when I'm not practiced, and you're just chopping at yourself the whole fucking time, which is also
What do you mean chopping at yourself?
you hate everything.
Second guessing all your.
So you're just standing there and going like, fuck!
You can't pop and long. You can't lock it. You're
Fuck!
Worse than that. Get a whole 8 count or 2 8 counts in, do it, and then throw the whole thing away.
Oh man.
And
that's why you got into golf.
I could relate to that because even like when we were writing skits, when you're trying to write something like, okay, like writing parodies are easy, right? Okay, this is what everyone likes, or this style, or whatever,
yeah, exactly.
or that was a hitter, so let's do another one just like that. That's easy because it removes the burden and responsibility of trying to express your true self. But then when you're like, okay, cool, now it's time to write for myself. This represents the inside of me. All of a sudden, it's like really like vulnerable, and then you do have a and it's going in a way that's not really like me anymore. So you cut that off and you rip that paper. So I relate to it.
And Nick was even just talking about this too, where it's like same thing with like fighting, right? When you're young, you're just like, I'm gonna fucking fight.
Yeah.
You didn't really think about much, but sometimes that's the kind of like the attitude that you need to get in there. Just that like that naivety actually is helpful. That childlike wonder, you know what I mean? Then you fucking become a geriatric fucking adult. That's not necessarily in practice or in flow all the time. You come back to something and you got all these dumbass adult thoughts. You know what I mean? It's so fucking just like, what about this? Like, how do I do this? How do I finish it with this?
Fears, worries, and doubts.
What about my time? Like, you know, when am I supposed to handle this other responsibility? Am I fucking my time up right now because blah, blah, blah? How are people gonna feel about what I've done because I haven't done anything in a long time? You start doing these dumbass adult things as a creative, and it blocks you like crazy, you know? I had a great session, even though nothing got finished. But I think it's kind of like working out, right? Yeah. Just because you have a bad workout doesn't mean that was bad for you. Yeah. Sometimes you just got to do it, right? So I feel like that's kind of where I'm at, and that's ironically part of the joy.
But you have a muscle memory, right? Like it's like obviously because you can get back to your mean, right? Get back to your basics, which is really cool.
Totally.
Like obviously like. You know, obviously, yeah, you were away from it for a while, but then you snap back into it, and like.
But like you said, I never really left. I think I was like kind of checking out.
Yeah.
It's different.
You probably needed it.
But it was very mental, like because I still had to dance every week.
Yeah.
I just wasn't doing it for me. It's almost embarrassing to say, and I don't know how many people who are inspired by the dance journey, if they heard this, they'd be like, "What the fuck?" But it's like I haven't gotten up to session out of the passion and joy and love for dance for myself. Music's just sick as fuck, and I'm just like, yo, let me fucking get up and vibe. I haven't done that in months, cause like I don't feel it. But I don't think to myself that's a sadness. I just feel like I'm in a different place in my life, and dance is a different. I have a different relationship with it.
I mean, it's like professional chefs will oftentimes just go home and eat a bowl of rice because they're cooking all day. Yeah. You know, when it becomes your profession and you do it for over a decade, your approach to it is completely different than when you're sessioning at the park with your friends.
Yeah, and I think one of the hardest things to like admit to yourself too, especially on something that has like defined you, right? Both in career, in image. So many people like associate every aspect of that with you, right? To admit to yourself like, hey, I love this, but right now I'm not in love with it. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's so difficult because it's so attached to everything that is your core being, or at least like what you've built or society has helped you build and that perception. So, but I can at least acknowledge and accept that now, and I think that journey is also part of the maturity, and the relationship is exactly what it is. It's a relationship. It's not always going to be perfect. And I think right now, if anything, part of the journey is figuring out how to fall back in love with it. You know what I mean? Yeah. I can't honestly. Again, I don't have. I'm not checked out now, and I've never like fully left the game at all. I've always been in the game. Yeah. But now it's a matter of trying to like find my way back for the reasons that are more on my own terms, and I think that's also cool too. Because I think one of the things that was like fucking me up also is you go with the flow of shit, right? And one of the flows in our life, especially the way that we have to do our hustle and bustle, is things like social media. So once social media changed, like things like TikTok and the way that even dance was perceived, suddenly even we, myself and Kendra, we got into a flow where we're like, all right, cool, let's start doing these short form TikToks and blah, blah, blah. Maybe we'll do these challenges because that's where the world's going, blah, blah, blah. And suddenly you find yourself like weeks later in this place where you're like, the fuck am I doing? You know, and it's not wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. I have mad respect to everybody who plays that game. We're just in a different time of life, right? It's like the OGs looking at us when we first started YouTube, when YouTube started. And they're looking at us like, the fuck, dude? You guys aren't the truth. You know what I mean? But it's just, yo, I don't know. We're just using the platform that was given to our generation. You know, and the same thing's happening now. But now, because like I was kind of checked out, now I'm checking back in.
Right.
I feel like as a more grown adult, with all the problems of like having the adult thoughts, I also have the pros of being able to come in maybe I'm more on my own terms. Yeah. The way I like it, the way I want to do it, the music I want to do it too. And whether success comes or not from that in the same way it did in the past, like fuck all, like it really doesn't matter, because you start to realize the things that you want to value in your life, you're gonna protect that. Everything else is just noise anyway, right? Like we can never control where it's going. We can only control like how we're doing it is all.
Seems like a fresh start in a weird way.
What did dancers do when they fucking agree? They go like this, right?
They go like this.
This is props.
Thank you.
This means like props. Vibe with that.
What do dancers do when they cut corners on the noodles?
Couldn't let him have it. Couldn't let him wrap it up.
I don't know. You guys gave that one to me. I don't fucking know.